Just keep focusing on yourself, okay? Having an open heart and open mind, but know that you are on the right path if you can trust it. And this is all about truth here. Swords are truth. We also have the justice in reverse here. It's possible for some of you this has to do with the courts. With the strong air influence now, I'm picking up on a certain amount of you. Some of you, this is a divorce or separation you're going through with the same suit here, King and Queen. The swords are both divine counterparts. That's the second message I had coming through. That doesn't mean it was the highest spiritual love, by the way. It just means that it was a divine counterpart, right? So Emperor and Empress is like the highest spiritual love you can find, and any of the mutual kings and queens, or kings and kings and queens, however you want to put it, are also divine counterparts. But they are, it's like a deep soul bond, but not the deepest. Does that make sense? Right. Okay. And those are, remember that divine counterparts can also become karmic. Okay, so we see this with some of you who are going through a divorce or separation, which this particular sword, this particular couple is known to be the divorced couple, okay? For some of you, you represent this King of Swords, and the Queen of Swords is the person you're leaving behind. I'm starting to pick up on another group here. So I feel like if you were part of this fiery energy, I hope that you found what you were looking for. If you have anything you'd like to contribute in the comments, you are always welcome, or you can just drop a heart emoji. It helps me with the algorithm, and it helps me grow this community, which I deeply adore. Okay, I'd love to keep showing up like this for everyone, and when my content circulates by a like, comment, or subscribe, well then, I get to create more, okay? So I deeply appreciate it. If you don't want to hang around, here's your chance to cut out. Speaking of cutting out, that's what this King of Swords is doing. Cutting out a Queen of Swords in reverse. And a Queen of Swords in reverse is somebody who is verbally unkind and harsh with their words, malicious even, somebody who gaslights somebody. And again, gaslighting is when somebody makes you think your reality is not your reality, right? And there is a difference here. This is going to trip people up, but I've been very introspective on this in my life for my own reasons. If you want to know more, go to my advocacy playlist. With gaslighting, it's tricky because typically the people who are gaslighting you have actually lived a lie for so long, or lived in delusion so long, or have lied so much that they believe their own lies, right? And it's usually because they're off telling other people mistruths to sway a certain narrative, right? That's common with a certain personality type, which I'm not going to use that word, not because I have any empathy for them, but because I personally have experienced them my whole life, and I don't want to give them more attention than they deserve, which is all they really want is supply, right? So this is somebody who's somewhat parasitic, who also could be emotionally manipulative with their words. Maybe they know how to tell you the right things, say the right things. You get the point, right? And this could be masculine, it could be feminine, it could be anything, anyone, right? But the King of Swords is typically, it's not only somebody who knows how to cut something out of their life, like you usually also have to graduate to the King of Swords to be able to wield that kind of divine truth, that divine power, because, I mean, he's holding the sword of truth here that we see in the Ace of Swords. And now that hasn't come out in the reading, but I would not be surprised if it did. That is the truth, Ace of Swords. No, it did come out. It was in the middle of the deck. I take that back. Excuse me. I just didn't put it on the table. So there's some kind of truth here. If you represent this King of Swords, you were able to cut something out here. I'm going to switch to my Herbcrafters Tarot, because I feel like this is a different energy and I want to use a different deck. I have told people before, with this deck, the Hayas are pages, the Adelitas are knights, the Madres are queens, and the Curanderas are kings. It is a Latin-based deck, and each card has a different plant that is represented, which I love. And if I feel called to speak on the herb or the picture, I will. That usually means it's important for somebody. And as I'm finishing up with the Cosmic Tarot, the Six of Swords is on the bottom. So this is about moving into calmer waters. Spirit is guiding you out of this situation. King of Swords. They're guiding you out of this situation. I'd like to take a deep breath again, just to kind of break up the reading. So I feel like after this group, unless we tie it back to another one, we'll probably be concluding. So the next half hour or so, I'd have to say. Thank you if you're still here. Again, appreciate all your support, even if it's silent, energetic support. I really appreciate it. I do pick up on your energy. Those of us that are energy workers understand that. If you're feeling generous, you don't even have to hit the like button. Just send love to the community if you'd like, you know. You don't have to, though. Yeah, so let's all take a deep breath. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to cleanse out the energies with the spell. All right. Let's see where we're at here. What would you like to tell me? Whoa, too many cards and upside down. That was interesting. I guess we'll take those. I kind of feel called to pull some cosmic energy oracle to go with this real quick. I do follow my guidance, but real quick, the cards that came out was the Four of Cups in reverse and the Haya of Air. So that's the Page of Swords. With that energy, I am getting that you're no longer ignoring a divine blessing when it comes to the foundations of your emotional nature. That you have watched somebody else also take for granted all they had and all that was available to give. Perhaps you stopped giving and started just sitting back at the end of this relationship. And I do feel like it's a relationship. For some of you, it could be a friendship or a long-term coworker or a business partner. But I really feel like with that King of Swords and the Queen of Swords in reverse, that this is about the end of a union, which you could be currently ending, thinking about ending, or going through. And I'm not giving advice to do that. It's just what I'm getting. Yeah, because I'm going to get the Haya of Fire, which is the Page of Wands. That can represent kind of wanting a new beginning. Like maybe something you have begun is creating a new passionate beginning for you, but maybe you focused on your passion projects in order to kind of cope with this, and it allowed you to kind of sit back and observe, and that's how you perhaps realized this person you were with was just not a grateful person, and you're done with it. Yeah, I just pulled the Devil card. So they are very karmic and not willing to change. There's something that's they're stuck in that is not good for them, for some of you. Wow, and then we get the third page, Haya of Earth, so Page of Pentacles. You're slowly working towards something else. Something that could bring you some kind of material stability. This is a new project This is very new energy. So for some of you, this is like right after a separation, or it's skills that you're starting to adapt in this new cycle during this like stagnated union that you're in, or it's right after you have ended this union and moved forward in your life path. I did say I wanted to pull some cosmic energy oracle. I follow where I'm divinely guided, and I was divinely guided to pull that mid-spread. Not spread, wow, that one just popped out. Courage with the eagle on it. Courage lies within you. You have the power to overcome anything. For some of you, you haven't made a move yet on this new beginning, on this new project, because you're not sure if you can pull it off, and it could have something to do with this Queen of Swords energy. If they are tearing you down constantly, messing with your mind, you know, like I said, again, these people who gaslight and do all that, I think where I was going with that is that they legitimately feel like victims because they have convinced themselves and everybody else, they've built up this entire identity, the ego, right? Based on false words about all parties involved. Because technically when those kinds of people are tearing somebody down, they're building themselves up to look better, right? Or to look like the ones that are suffering while they're actually trying to cover, and they're projecting what they're actually doing to you. So they genuinely convince themselves that their reality is their reality, which is delusional, okay? And I'm not a medical or mental health professional, but I am an advocate, I am a guide, so this is not medical advice. And I'm not telling you that whoever you're with is delusional, I'm just saying that this archetype and these kinds of people tend to have those character traits. But it does not apply to everybody, and do not take it if it doesn't fit. But for those of you that have had somebody, and this could also represent a parent, right? It's more likely a union, but for a few of you, it could be a parent figure. It could be a mother specifically, or an aunt, or a grandma, or a sibling who just never seems to support you, always tears you down. But the thing is that when people are often unsatisfied with their life and they're not willing to look at their shadow, they're not willing to do the work, they try to make everyone in their lives look bad because they are consumed by the negative themselves all the time. And when you're around somebody, especially if you're in union with somebody like that, or you're a family member, or you're, say, a roommate or a business partner, somebody you have to deal with intimately in some way or consistently, you have to have a strong moral character in order to not be affected by that. And even, especially people with strong moral characters are tested to deal with these people. And it's when you're in a commitment with, there's this whole level of detangling the energy and removing oneself, and it can make it very difficult to not be in choppy waters. Remember, we saw the Six of Swords earlier. Spirit is moving you into calmer waters, and I think they're trying to tell you to have courage in this new passionate path you want to go on. Something small that you're building has the potential, okay? Yeah, have gratitude. That will help raise you up out of these negative thoughts, whether they're caused by others or it's the effect of trauma, or you feel like maybe you're lacking confidence, and these things can cause that. But here it says, be grateful for every moment, keep a heart of gratitude. And it's true, and it's not about shaming you or being delusional yourself, okay? There is the law of assumption. That's a universal law you can use to trick your brain into manifesting. But I mean, that's how anybody does something well, right? They convince themselves they can do it, they keep trying, and then eventually they do it, right? Typically, that's how it goes. Well, the same thing can be with gratitude. The more gratitude you express, the more gratitude you see. The more you see, the more you feel, the more you acknowledge, the more you experience. Simple law of attraction. So have gratitude. At least one thing a day you can find to be grateful about that's in your life. Every day. It's not that difficult to do. I mean, it can be hard the first time, but there's something, okay? And eventually it gets to a point where it's like you want to be more grateful because you're feeling the positive effects of that, right? And then, right as I was saying that, I pulled the Universal Wisdom Oracle card. It says here, the universe is full of wisdom, seek its guidance. So, for some of you who are sensitive, like me, part of the collective that pick up on signs and synchronicities, the universe is trying to tell you something. And if you can find a way to find some enjoyment from your life, it's going to give you courage to follow down the path that is going to make you happy.